internet is not my biggest fan. It never has been, but especially isn't these days. I've made some stupid choices.
I think that's really important that you see me as a human being, because I think a lot of people don't. So, I don't know. I want that disclaimer out there.
All of Hollywood's like, yep, let's make her a thing, let's make her a thing. But she's never made a movie that's been successful.
But it's also really important to me that I share with you not only the really good, exciting moments, but also like the little blips where I just don't feel great.
Rachel Zegler's name might still be floating around Hollywood's inner circles, but over in London, the reality is hitting like a cold front. Her big comeback, her stage reinvention, her Golden Globe-worthy theater moment is already circling the drain, and we haven't even reached opening night.
Her career is not going from strength to strength, is it? So this is her new thing, Evita.
That's right. Zegler's highly publicized turn as Eva Peron in the upcoming production of Evita at the London Palladium is turning out to be less of a triumphant stage debut and more of a humiliating wake-up call, one that's written in glowing green across every single seating chart. Because if you check the official ticketing website, any date, any seat, any section, you're greeted with the same glaring reality. Nothing is sold out.
Well, it just goes to show they shouldn't have hired her. This is not a person that... Well, it's just not a person that has any element of draw in whatever she's in.
Not one section, not one date. It's a sea of green, a complete and total wipeout. And in a venue that holds over 2,200 people, that's not just bad, that's embarrassing. This isn't some scrappy little indie theater off the West End. We're talking the London Palladium, the kind of venue where legends perform, where tickets usually vanish weeks, sometimes months in advance. And yet with just weeks to go before the curtain rises, Rachel Zegler can't fill a single row, let alone a house.
Rachel Zegler is a no-name actress. She's barely been in anything, actually. If you look at her IMDb, West Side Story was the first one that... It was the first movie she was in, basically.
No last-minute rush, no fan frenzy, just empty seats and brutal optics. And the worst part? The marketing team pulled every trick in the book, plastering her face next to buzzwords like Golden Globe winner, Disney's Snow White, The Hunger Games. But none of it is working. The audience isn't biting, not in London, not for Zegler. So while the industry keeps insisting she's a rising star, the box office, and now the box office again, this time in theater, keeps screaming otherwise.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
If this is supposed to be the next big phase of her career, someone might want to double-check the script. Because the early reviews, at least from ticket buyers, are already in. And the verdict? Brutal silence. Now, some defenders will claim theater is a different beast, that maybe Zegler just needs time to adjust to the stage. But let's not kid ourselves. Theater, especially in London, is a meritocracy. If audiences believe you're worth the price of admission, they show up. They don't care about Hollywood hype or PR spin. They care about performance, presence, and authenticity. And what Rachel Zegler's empty seating chart screams isn't just lack of interest. It's rejection. A polite but deafening no, thank you from an audience she clearly thought would be more forgiving than the internet. But unlike social media, where you can hide behind filters and handlers, the theater doesn't lie. And when every single performance of Evita remains wide open, with not even the cheap seats filling up, it sends a crystal clear message. Zegler is not the draw she, or her team, believes she is.
What can be said about this level of narcissism? Here, please, enjoy.
Compare that to someone like John Lithgow, running a separate show in London at the same time. Not a Marvel star, not trending on TikTok, but look at his ticket chart, limited seats, real demand. That's what star power actually looks like. Zegler, on the other hand, is headlining a role as iconic and emotionally demanding as Eva Peron, and can't even pull in enough buzz to sell out a Tuesday night. That's not just bad business, it's a PR disaster waiting to explode. And it begs the question, what happens when Hollywood's chosen golden girl can't even get theatergoers, arguably the most loyal, passionate entertainment consumers on the planet, to care? It's becoming painfully clear that Rachel Zegler's entire career has been propped up by a fantasy, one cooked up in studio boardrooms and echo chambers. But in the cold, ticket-clicking reality of London theater, that fantasy is unraveling fast. Because no matter how many magazine covers they put her on, or how many times they slap Golden Globe winner in bold letters, there's one thing you can't fake: a sold-out crowd.
Listen. And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Oh my God.
And I can only hope.
What does that mean?
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
What makes this situation even more awkward is the sheer scale of Evita itself. This isn't some experimental fringe performance at a cozy black box theater. We're talking about the London Palladium, one of the most prestigious and massive venues in the West End. With over 2,200 seats, it's the kind of stage you earn, not the kind that's handed to you after 2 questionable blockbusters and a PR team working overtime. Yet somehow Zegler got top billing, and despite all the flashing lights and glittery promos, it looks like no one is biting. The traffic light system meant to guide customers is stuck on green across the board, every night. Every row. That's not a slow trickle, it's a drought. And here's where the reality check hits hard. You'd expect some curiosity, theater fans, musical lovers, even casual moviegoers who vaguely remember her from the Hunger Games might feel inclined to give her a shot. But the total lack of ticket movement shows just how little organic interest there is in Rachel Zegler as a performer. It's not hate, it's indifference. And in showbiz, indifference is death.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Public backlash can be survived, scandals can be spun, but when audiences simply don't care, that's when the machinery starts to rust. Even worse, this isn't her first stumble. West Side Story, despite Spielberg's name attached, underperformed at the box office. Snow White, a full-blown disaster. And now, with Evita limping out the gate, it's clear this isn't a fluke. It's a pattern. One that suggests Rachel Zegler's career isn't building upward, but quietly collapsing under the weight of unearned hype. Hollywood wanted her to be the next big thing. But theater, unlike the film industry, doesn't run on wishful thinking and access journalism. It runs on ticket sales. And if the seats stay empty when the curtain rises, no amount of Hollywood spin will change the brutal truth echoing through that cavernous, silent auditorium. Rachel Zegler may have made it to the stage, but the spotlight might be exposing more than she's ready to face. Let's rewind for a second and talk dollars. Because while critics and fans can debate artistic merit all day long, money doesn't lie, and Snow White has been nothing short of a financial catastrophe. Disney has tried to spin it as a modest success, even trotting out headlines declaring it has crossed $200 million worldwide. But scratch the surface and it's not even close to good news. That $200 million, if we're being incredibly generous, is gross, not net. After global theaters take their cut, which is usually around 40% or more, Disney is left with roughly $100 million. Not bad for a small indie film, disastrous for a tentpole remake with a bloated budget and years of marketing behind it. And let's talk about that budget. Initial reports pegged it at $260 million, but insiders suggest that number ballooned after extensive reshoots and costly delays. Some estimates now place the total spend, including marketing, well over $350 million. That would mean Disney is facing a $250 million loss on one film. In any other era, this would trigger mass firings.
Celebrities. They're just like us.
Executives would be packing up their offices. The star? Probably pivoting to off-Broadway or taking a break from social media. But Rachel Zegler? She's being handed Evita, front and center, at one of London's most iconic theaters. The dissonance is staggering, and what's worse is how avoidable this all was. After West Side Story bombed, albeit during a pandemic, most studios would have hit pause, let her prove herself in smaller projects, or earn back some goodwill. Instead, Disney doubled down, casting her in one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time. Then they handed her a press tour mic, seemingly unprepared for what came next. Ziegler's dismissive remarks about the original Snow White, calling the prince a stalker and openly mocking the 1937 film's values, lit a firestorm across the internet. It was tone-deaf, arrogant, and it alienated the very audience Disney was counting on. The worst part? Those weren't off-the-cuff slip-ups. She repeated them again and again, doubling down in interviews like she was daring the backlash to come. And now, here we are, empty theaters in London, a gutted box office, and a studio scrambling to make it look like things are fine, but they're not.
So I've got my Baymax blanket which I use when I have anxiety.
Hollywood's experiment with Zegler isn't just failing, it's actively bleeding money. Now let's talk about Evita, because if Disney was hoping Rachel Zegler's theater pivot would offer a soft reset after the Snow White disaster, that plan is already falling apart, and in the most embarrassingly public way possible. She's set to star as Eva Peron in a high-profile stage revival at London's legendary Palladium, a massive, prestigious venue that's hosted everyone from Madonna to Andrew Lloyd Webber. This isn't some small fringe play in an East End basement. This is a big deal, and Zegler is the face of it. But here's the problem. No one's showing up. Ticket sales for Evita are an absolute ghost town. Every date in June, wide open. July, the same. August and September, not even close to selling out. The box office uses a traffic light system to show availability. Green means open seats. And right now, it's a sea of green.
All of it's literally every single thing is available. Literally all of it. All of it, no different. All of it.
Row after row, show after show. You'd think this was a student production buried in a back alley, not a star-studded revival being hyped with Golden Globe winner Rachel Zegler in all the ads. It's not just bad, it's humiliating. Even more humiliating, Zegler isn't the only big name in London theater right now, but while other productions, like those featuring John Lithgow, are filling seats and seeing limited availability, Evita is being ignored like it's cursed. And if that's not a direct referendum on Rachel's drawing power, what is? Theaters rely on name recognition. Audiences will fork out hundreds for a ticket if they believe the performance is worth it. And right now, the public is loudly, collectively saying, no thanks. And let's address the obvious. This isn't about whether she can sing, or whether she's a technically good performer. It's about public perception. It's about connection. Right now, Rachel Zegler has no goodwill to trade on. Her name doesn't spark curiosity. It sparks eye rolls. Fans haven't forgotten her Snow White meltdown, her habit of shading fans and classics alike, or her seeming inability to read the room when it comes to PR. Theater audiences are sharp. They talk. And unlike moviegoers who might stumble into a film on impulse, stage buyers make calculated decisions, weeks, even months in advance. If they're not buying now, they're probably not buying later either. So while her team may spin it as early in the run, or we haven't launched full marketing yet, the reality is clear. Evita is in trouble. Big trouble. And it's dragging Rachel Zegler's already fragile public image deeper into the abyss. What's supposed to be her theatrical redemption arc is turning into another high-profile flameout, and she hasn't even stepped on stage yet. At some point, even Hollywood's most stubborn power players have to face the numbers. And the numbers surrounding Rachel Zegler's career right now, they're brutal. Let's break this down. West Side Story was supposed to be her breakout, directed by Steven Spielberg, Oscar buzz, every advantage a newcomer could dream of. And yet, the movie underperformed, badly. It couldn't even crack $80 million worldwide against a reported $100 million budget. A box office whiff, during the holiday season no less, at the height of Spielberg's hype machine. And still, the industry pressed forward. She's a star, they insisted, just needs the right vehicle. So they gave her Snow White, a billion-dollar Disney property, a legacy character with nearly a century of fan nostalgia. She was handed the crown, literally. And what did she do with it? She publicly trashed the source material, mocked the prince, called the original creepy, basically did a months-long interview tour, convincing fans why not to watch the film. And the result? A $200 million worldwide haul on a $300 million investment.
I'm like so ready to just throw my phone away. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen at some point. And everyone's gonna get mad at me and they're gonna be like, no, or they'll be thrilled and be like,
thank God Rachel's getting off social media.
Disney is facing catastrophic losses, and Zegler is still trying to play the victim. That film wasn't just a flop, it was a warning shot. And now, with Evita limping through pre-sales like a production with no star at all, the message is louder than ever. Rachel Zegler isn't a box office draw. She's a liability, and we haven't even mentioned The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That movie managed to turn a healthy profit, but let's be honest, it wasn't because of her. That was the Hunger Games brand doing the heavy lifting. Zegler was a name on the poster, not the reason people showed up. If anything, many viewers said they showed up despite her, not for her. That's not stardom, that's dead weight. Hollywood used to operate on gut instinct, on charisma, on buzz. But in an age of data-driven decision-making and razor-thin profit margins, charisma can't fake ROI. And the ROI on Rachel Zegler is now officially in the red. Studios are already whispering, behind closed doors, Casting directors are putting soft flags on her name. No one wants to be the next executive who hands her another $100 million budget just to get roasted on social media when it bombs. And the idea that she can pivot to stage and escape the damage? Evita's empty seat map just killed that fantasy. So, while her PR team keeps pushing narratives about Gen Z empowerment and misunderstood brilliance, the numbers tell a different story. One that ends not with standing ovations, but with silent theaters, stalled productions, and an audience that's already moved on. Hollywood gave Rachel Zegler more chances than most, but now, it looks like the curtain might finally be closing. You'd think by now, someone, anyone, in Rachel Zegler's corner would have stepped up to defend her. A director, a co-star, a producer, even just a friendly stylist or PR assistant with a blue checkmark. But what's happened instead? Absolute silence. And not just the casual, let's wait for the heat to pass kind of quiet. We're talking deliberate, strategic, almost surgical silence. Not a whisper of support, not a single post, not a vague, set dynamics are complicated kind of cop-out. No, what we're seeing is an industry-wide blackout. And if you've been in Hollywood long enough, you know what that means. Damage containment mode. This isn't just a PR misstep anymore. This is career triage. Normally when an actor faces backlash, even if it's justified, you'll see some support trickle. And I've worked with them and they're lovely. They're passionate, not difficult. But for Rachel, it's crickets. Even people who once praised her, Spielberg, her West Side Story castmates, her Hunger Games director, are nowhere to be found. Not even a courtesy repost of Evita. When the people who built your pedestal are suddenly too busy to mention your name, that's not coincidence. That's a coordinated retreat, and you can see it in the press, too. Headlines that once breathlessly labeled her the next big thing have quietly started adding caveats. Controversial Snow White lead, polarizing Gen Z actress. That soft spin is the warning sign. It's Hollywood's way of saying, we're done sticking our necks out. And even the industry trades, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, have toned down the puff pieces. They know this isn't just a fan backlash anymore. This is a professional credibility issue. Zegler isn't just trending for the wrong reasons. She's failing for the wrong reasons. What's worse, even her own Evita team seems to be dodging the fallout. Where are the behind-the-scenes promo reels, the cast bonding Instagram stories, the cozy press interviews hyping up her transformative performance? Nowhere. And the ticket sales? Still abysmal. It's almost like everyone's waiting to see if the show gets quietly canceled, so they won't have to defend the casting decision at all.
I don't want people to see me in a weakened state.
Because when a theater production refuses to publicly rally behind its star, that's not just lack of confidence, that's embarrassment. Zegler's online presence isn't helping either. Instead of posting promotional content, she's been largely inactive or posting vague, cryptic messages about finding peace and not owing anyone her story. But here's the thing, when your professional image is actively imploding, peace isn't what your team is hoping for. They want action, damage control, a reset. But if even her management seems too exhausted to clean up the latest mess, it raises the bigger question. How many more messes are they willing to clean up? Because here's the part no one wants to say out loud. This isn't just about bad PR anymore. It's about being uncastable. When your name causes friction before a project even starts. When crew members brace for drama before the table read. When investors ask, is she attached? Like it's a red flag. Your career is no longer in a slump. It's in a slow, public freefall. And right now, Rachel Zegler is falling without a net. What's truly astonishing isn't just that Rachel Zegler is facing another career crisis, it's how determined she seems to pretend like none of it is her fault. While her team remains locked in silent damage control, Rachel herself is playing it like she's the misunderstood hero in a story the public just doesn't get. But here's the truth. Hollywood doesn't reward delusion, and audiences, they don't forgive it. Not when you're doubling down after disaster instead of showing even an ounce of humility. If she truly wanted to repair her image, the roadmap was simple. Acknowledge the missteps, step back from the spotlight, and return stronger with a sense of growth. But instead, she's treating the backlash like it's noise, like we're all just haters who can't appreciate her brilliance, and that arrogance is becoming unbearable. Take her recent interviews, for example, what few she's agreed to do. The vibe isn't, I've learned, it's, you just don't get me. She speaks in broad platitudes about creating space for misunderstood women, reshaping the narrative, and owning her voice. But never, not once, has she taken direct accountability for how her own behavior has hurt the projects she's attached to. Not for the tone-deaf Snow White press tour, not for alienating fans with her smug anti-fairy tale rants, not for the rumors of on-set chaos that have now followed her to Evita. It's all vague, all deflective, And the public? They've had enough. Because this isn't just about one miscast role or one bomb at the box office, it's about a pattern. A pattern of blowing opportunities and then shrugging off the fallout like she's too evolved to care. And when audiences sense that kind of indifference, when they feel disrespected instead of inspired, they don't come back. That's why ticket sales are still tanking. Why every headline about Evita centers on her, not the show. Why her name trending on Twitter now means something's gone wrong, not right. Even worse, there are whispers from inside the London theater scene that Zegler has been difficult offstage too. Not diva tantrums, just the same pattern of overconfidence, disengagement, and subtle disrespect for the collaborative nature of theater. She's not rude, one source allegedly put it, but she's not really there either. And in a medium that demands live connection with an audience, night after night after night, that's a death sentence. Film can hide ego behind a camera. Theater can't. What we're seeing isn't just a troubled star on a rocky path. It's a cautionary tale in real time. Because Zegler still has options. She's young, talented, and technically capable. But if she refuses to learn from these stumbles, if she keeps choosing defensiveness over reflection, ego over growth, there won't be a second act. Not in an industry this competitive. Not with dozens of hungry, humble, capable actresses waiting to take her spot.
If you have any opinions, I don't want to hear them.
Hollywood is brutal. It doesn't need to cancel you to erase you. It just needs to stop calling. And right now, every sign points to Zegler heading toward exactly that fate. Not with a bang, but with a slow public fade into irrelevance. The most damning part of Rachel Zegler's current predicament isn't the headlines. It isn't the ticket sales, the box office bombs, or even the fact that her name now sparks more backlash than buzz. It's the silence. The uncomfortable, deliberate silence from the people who once claimed to support her. The co-stars who no longer mention her. The directors who've gone radio silent. The producers who quietly scrubbed her name from upcoming project wish lists. For an actress who once seemed destined to be the centerpiece of every industry next big thing conversation, the retreat is deafening. It's not just a public fallout, it's an industry rejection playing out in slow motion. Look closely and you'll see it. That Golden Globe she won for West Side Story, barely mentioned anymore. The excitement that once greeted her casting announcements, replaced by eye rolls and cautious euphemisms like early career volatility. Even her press team seems to be running out of ways to repackage her chaos as confidence. Because no matter how many glossy profiles or hand-picked interviews they try to schedule, the public doesn't forget what she said about Snow White. They don't forget the smug comments, the tone-deaf interviews, the disdain for the source material that launched her into mainstream conversation in the first place. And now that behavior isn't just frustrating, it's contagious. Her colleagues know it, which is why, quietly, they're backing away. A-list stars who once posed for photos with her at award shows are now politely declining to comment when asked about her work. One Oscar-winning actress was recently asked if she was excited to see Zegler's Evita and gave a strained smile before saying, "I'm more of a fan of the original production." Ouch. Subtle, but devastating. That's how Hollywood exiles you. Not with a headline, but with a shrug. Because no one wants to be dragged into someone else's PR meltdown. Especially not now, in an age where careers are made and destroyed in the time it takes for a Twitter clip to go viral. The industry can't afford to attach itself to drama that's no longer lucrative. And Zegler? She's become synonymous with drama, without the payoff to justify it. There's a lesson here, one that every rising star should be watching closely. Talent will get you noticed. Ego will get you forgotten. And if Rachel Zegler doesn't shift course fast, her name won't just be missing from ticket sales. It'll vanish from call sheets, red carpets, and Hollywood altogether. So where does Rachel Zegler go from here, if anywhere? Because this isn't just a PR slump. It's a full-blown credibility crisis, and it's starting to look permanent. With every flop, every awkward live stream, every viral clip of her talking down to the audience she's supposed to be entertaining, the distance between Rachel and a real comeback grows wider. And with Evita's ticket sales flatlining in one of the most high-profile theaters in London, even international markets aren't biting. No matter how her team spins it, the optics are brutal. A show built to be a career reset is now shaping up to be another public embarrassment. Playing out in real time, one empty seat at a time. This isn't just about one actress fumbling the spotlight. It's about what happens when Hollywood decides to manufacture stardom from the top down, rather than letting it rise naturally from the work. Rachel Zegler was handed the keys to the kingdom before she had the track record to prove she could drive it. And now, she's flipped the car, twice, maybe 3 times. And the executives who once saw her as the future are suddenly realizing the brand they invested in has become too risky to protect. Worse still, she doesn't seem to be changing course. There's been no real apology, no attempt to rebuild trust. Just more posts, more appearances, more performances framed as reclamation, but delivered with the same smug tone that started this backlash in the first place. If Zegler was hoping to outlast the criticism, she's underestimating how fast this industry moves. It doesn't wait for redemption arcs anymore. It just recasts them, because there's always another young actress waiting in the wings. Someone who can sing, someone who can act, someone who doesn't come with baggage. And that's the cold, hard truth. Rachel Zegler didn't run out of chances. She ran out of goodwill. And in this business, when the applause stops, it stops for good. But what do you think? Can Rachel Zegler salvage her reputation and turn things around? Or is this final flop the curtain call on a career that never quite took off? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you've been watching this drama unfold. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.